Hello, this is our sixth in our series of screencasts on managing the library's WordPress site, and in this tutorial we will go over managing news and electronic resources. Both of these are fairly quick tasks that won't take us very long to go over. News content on the website is what displays in this scrolling box here on the front page, and that's the only place where it is shown by default, but it's a widget that you can really add to any page you want to, and there are some settings you can modify that I'll show you as well. First, let's start by logging into the website. And we'll go to our dashboard. Oops, didn't mean to click that. Go to our dashboard. And we have news as one of our content types, just like we saw with pages and policies and all that fun stuff that we've gone over previously. So you can click all news to view all the existing news stories, but let's just go ahead and create a new one, and we will call it test news. This is my news story, and in the body here is where you put the actual text of your story, and I'm going to make it, I'm just going to paste this over and over so it's kind of long, and the body is the main actual news story. Down here further we have the description, which is the little tiny snippet that appears in the slideshow. Let me show you here. Up here. So this description needs to be quite a bit shorter, and we'll just paste that in there. And then we need to choose an image to use in our slideshow, and I will just pick an image that I uploaded. Here we go. This is actually from one of our old news stories, but that's okay. Okay, so that image now is connected to the story. When you upload an image, you have to make sure that the image has the same dimensions as the dimensions that you specify in the news slideshow widget, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a bit when we look at the widget. But the next step now is to choose which campuses you want to associate this news story with. So we'll just do randomly Bolivar and Mountain View, and when you are modifying your news slideshow widget, you can choose which campuses you want it to have, or you want it to show the news stories for. So for instance, you could create one that only shows Mountain View news, or only shows Springfield news, or you could have one that shows all news. By default, it shows all news, but we'll just do Bolivar and Mountain View. And that really is it. We will click Publish. And now, if we go to our home page, here's our news story, and we can click on this to see the whole thing in all its glory. And now let's go ahead and let's edit the widget that displays the slideshow and see what parameters it has. So we're going to go to Pages, and we are going to choose whichever page has that widget on it. In this case, it is the Bolivar homepage, which is just called Home. And it is down below, and remember, when you're modifying widgets, you have to click Customize. And it is in the front page main area widget area, and we have new slideshow right here. And you could drag this and put it in another column or wherever you want to. It's designed specifically to fit this front page main area column, so your mileage may vary if you try to shove it somewhere else. You can give it a title. It isn't really recommended because it can kind of look funny with how the text is positioned. You can enter the number of stories that you want to show in the slideshow. By default it's 4, but you can make it 10, you can make it 100. We can If you enter 0, it will just loop through all the stories, regardless of how many stories there actually are. We'll just do 2. And now we choose which campuses to display. And let's do Mountain View, because we made Mountain View, we selected that as one of our campuses. And then this is where you enter the dimensions of the image. Now let's click Save. And let's go to our home page. And so here is our news story. And here's another one. So it's just going back and forth between the two, between the one we just made and then the previous most recent one, which actually has the same image. Now you'll notice that this black background is added in the news box. That's because this image, this green image here, it does not have the same dimensions as what we specified when we were editing this widget. See, we said 460 by 259, and let's see, if we look at this image, it actually is 530 by 212 scaled down to 460 by 184. So that is why it fills the extra space with that black. If you wanted to change the image height to 212, which is the height that we had in the original, then I think that should get rid of those black bars. Well, almost. We have to change the dimensions a little bit more, but you get the idea. And that pretty much is all there is to it. You can put that news widget wherever you want. I'm going to change this back to default. And it's not too complicated to use. And if you want to edit existing news stories, like I showed you before, you can just go to All News, and you can click on Edit and modify these just like you would modify policies or procedures or pages. So nothing too new here. The next thing I want to go over is e-resources, and as you can see, it's one of our content types. We have our articles and databases page on the website, and it has this fancy list that shows all of our electronic resources. It's loading very slowly at the moment. Okay, there it goes. So that's this guy right here, and this is a widget. You could stick it on any page if you wanted to, but it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense being on any other page. And we can go to our Pages menu, and we can go to Articles and Databases. And we can see here that in the, I think it's in the below page content, there it is. There's our e-resources list widget, and it doesn't really take any parameters. It just has a lot of special code that looks up all of our e-resource content and sorts it and puts it into this nice little list for us. So let's go ahead and have a look at this list. And all of the electronic resources that are in that list are individual items that are listed, in this content area. So some of them are subscription resources, some of them are free things from the web. It can really be whatever you want. So let's go ahead and add one, just fun, and we'll call it my test resource. This alias field, all it is other names that people might type in when they're searching for the database. For instance, let me think of an example. The literature, what's it called? Whatever the Gale literature resources. I can never remember the name. It doesn't even have Gale in the title, but if we type in the word Gale, you can see here, it pulls it up. Virtual Reference Library. That's not the one I had in mind, but that's an example as well. But anyway, the alias just adds sort of another point that this little search can latch onto. And other fields included here, you can enter a vendor that displays right here, and you enter the URL of the resource. Do not include the proxy prefix. So let's call the vendor SBU, and we'll say the resource is www.google.com, and we pick a proxy, and Easy Proxy is the one we want. You can modify proxies using this proxy content type here. There's not really much of a need to, because I don't foresee our proxy system changing anytime soon, but it's there nonetheless. And now is where you pick the subject areas that you want this database to be listed under. So let's put it in art, athletic training, and behavioral science. And description is what shows up in this little box here. And we will say, this is a demo resource, delete me later. And hide just tells it to, not display in the list, but without deleting it. And full text and public access just determine these little check boxes that say whether or not it is or isn't. We'll say it's full text. Let's hit publish. And now in our articles and databases page, or really anywhere else that we have this widget included, we will see Actually, I just remembered that the way that this e-resource list is set up, when you add or edit a resource, it is cached, and the changes you make won't be displayed until the next time this list is cached, which takes place every hour on the hour, basically, because it's a very resource-intensive process to generate this list, and we don't want to have our server do it every single time the page loads. So we won't actually see our new resource appearing in this list, but if we come back to it in about 15 minutes or so, the caching process should run, and we would ideally see our new resource in the art menu, in the athletic training menu, and in the behavioral sciences menu, but not in any of the other ones. Sorry, I didn't really have a chance to show what that looks like, but I'm sure you can use your imagination. So that basically is the entire process of adding and editing e-resources and adding and editing news items, and that is all for this tutorial for now, and I'm here if you have any questions. Thanks.